Call this meeting to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Here.
DePena?
Here.
Graziano?
Here.
Mayor Melham.
Here.
Councilmember Natari and Rovell will not be attending.
Sunshine House.
Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was published in the December 18, 2018 issue of the Star Ledger and in the December 20th, 2018 issue of the Belleville Times. A copy of this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board, and a copy is on file in the Municipal Clerk's Office.
Please let the record reflect that Councilman Burke is in attendance. And next up, we have Pledge Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm just going to ask everybody to remain standing for a moment of silence for the Jersey City police officer and some of the civilians that were killed today in Jersey City. Thank you. Next up on our agenda is executive session. I see no items for executive session. Is that still the same?
Do you want to do?
No. Seeing none, we are going to move forward with our combined conference regular meeting. The first item we have is we're receiving Matthew Jessup, which I know is not here. We have a proxy in place for McMahon, Scotland, and Bauman. Mr. Icona put this on. I believe this is to explain to us maybe some of the procedures if the township wants to make an application to the Federal Infrastructure Bank to ask for either low-interest loans or a grant for infrastructure improvements.
Correct, Mayor. Chris Langhart from McMahon, Scotland, and Belleville.
I'm just going to ask you, since we are streaming live and you're not mic'd up, to just speak as loudly as you can.
Oh, okay, I will. Thank you. Yes, Mayor, you're correct. My understanding is that the town, first of all, thank you, Mayor and Town Council, for having me here tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. My understanding is the town is considering borrowing money to replace some water lines within the municipality, perhaps along with a couple other municipalities that have been mentioned. The structure that's being proposed is that the town would issue debt, issue a bond like it normally would, but instead of issuing it to the market like we normally would, we would issue it to the Essex County Improvement Authority in conjunction with the other municipalities if they decide to participate. So we call it a pooled financing through the Improvement Authority.
So we're not talking about the Federal Infrastructure Bank. This is more about the county.
This is more about the county
Gotcha.
improvement, and they've just recently done this for the city of Newark.
Sure.
We participated in that as well. The benefit to issuing our bond to the Improvement Authority is the structure will be that the county will guarantee the debt of the Improvement Authority. So when we go out to market, we will receive the benefit of the county's AAA rating. That saves us on interest expense. It's better for us. The downside is by using the Improvement Authority, we incur the fees of another set of professionals. So the town will end up doing a cost-benefit analysis. We'll save money by going through the Improvement Authority, getting the AAA rating. We'll have extra fees that are part of the process. And kind of the unknown at this point is who else is participating and how much money are they participating with. More participants, more money, makes it more likely that it will be beneficial for us to go through the Improvement Authority and do this borrowing on our own. So once the details of the borrowing are finalized, then you can do a cost-benefit analysis and you can decide if this is a worthwhile endeavor on behalf of the town.
Has your firm already done this for any other municipality?
This is a very common financing structure. So we've done it perhaps not for the replacement of water lines, but we've done it for capital improvement, for refundings. We've done it in Bergen County, we've done it in Morris County, we've done it in Hudson County, Somerset County. So this is common.
So it would be the equivalent of a home equity line of credit where we can have X amount of dollars available, but we don't pay any interest, or we don't have to pay that down.
Well, no, that's not entirely true, because we will, once the Improvement Authority issues the bonds will go out to the market, they'll have interest on the bonds, usually anywhere from 3 to 5%. Those rates will be a pass-through to us. So whatever they're paying, we're paying that same rate. And as we make our bond payments to the Improvement Authority, they aggregate it from all the borrowers and they turn around and pay their bonds.
So we would have to know the exact amount of money that we would want.
At some
The
point,
second we draw that, we're on the hook for it.
yeah, if you decide you need $1 million just to throw a number out there, they will go out and borrow $1 million for you. They'll make it available for you, and then you go out and do the work with $1 million, and you pay that $1 million back to the Improvement Authority over 10, 20, 30 years, whatever is decided.
Understood. Any questions from the council? This would be for, in case we decide to take on the replacement of, which is, we haven't made that decision yet, but we're just in the exploring option phase, and this is good. I have a meeting next week with the Governor's Chief of Staff, and I know this question as far as what has Belleville done to research or investigate our options. I know this question is coming from them before they just dole out money or funds for us to help us out. They're going to want to know what steps we're taking. So this is one of those steps. This is the county. The other one, and I apologize, I thought you were here for the Infrastructure Bank. The Federal Infrastructure Bank is a similar program. However, Cory Booker put $100 million in it that it's actually not debt or a grant. It's actually, for all intents and purposes, free money.
Right.
If we can grab a piece of that $100 million for New Jersey.
That's correct, and that's what Newark got a piece of
Yes.
when they did it. So to my knowledge, as the last time I checked, that has not been made available to any of the other municipalities. Not that it won't be. I just
Is that
haven't seen
something
the
that your
list.
firm would handle, or would our grant people handle that?
That's probably a conjunction of both, because you still have to go to the iBank and go through that process, and usually have bond counsel.
That's where I would want to start, because that's, depending if we get a piece of the $100 million, that's free money. That's free money before we start bonding, if we even decide to go that route. We
Yes.
are under
Mandate.
a mandate to replace certain lines from the federal government. And we're just not quite sure if some of those lines may be incorporated in the Silver Lake lines, which Newark is already replacing. So we don't have that answer yet. If we have that answer and we're told we have to replace lines other than Silver Lake, either the Federal Infrastructure Bank would be free money option, or option B would be the county.
Yes,
Okay, and that would be something that your firm handles, the part of the county.
yes.
Got it. Okay. And you are, just for anybody who doesn't know, they are our current bond counsel.
Yep.
So we have them retained, been with us a long time.
We appreciate
Since
it.
my first tour here, actually, at least 25 years. Glenn Scotland used to come and appear. I don't think he appears anymore.
Well, he's still at the office, he
Yeah,
shows up
right.
every
I
now
don't
and
think he
then.
appears anymore, though, at council meetings late at night. Okay, seeing no other questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you for hearing
Thank
me.
you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, same to you.
Next up, we are going to receive Mr. Michael Perrone to speak about a tribute at St. Peter's Church for 2 World War I combat veterans, Private Michael Flynn and Private Edward Crowell, who were tragically killed while waiting to return home after the war. And I know that Michael does a program every year. This is the Wreaths program? Okay.
Yes.
I participated last year. They do a great job. So we're going to hear a little bit about that right now. Just like we are live streaming, just speak up as loudly as you can.
Got it. Good evening, Mayor and council members. This Saturday is National Wreaths Across America Day. All across the United States, hundreds of thousands of wreaths will be laid on the graves of veterans buried at thousands of cemeteries. Several hundred thousand of these wreaths will be laid at Arlington National Cemetery. And the Belleville Historical Society has, for the past several years, been the local organizer of the event. The event takes place at St. Peter's Church at noon this Saturday. That's the main event. That's where our ceremony is. We set wreaths on the graves of all the veterans in Belleville's 3 cemeteries. There are 90 veterans buried at St. Peter's, about 35 at Christ Episcopal Church, and about 15 that we know the grave sites at the Old Dutch Reformed Church. We also go to the veterans section of Glendale Cemetery, and we will be setting wreaths at the graves of the Belleville servicemen who were killed in action. There are about 9 Belleville servicemen killed in action in Glendale. We also then visit the graves in adjoining cemeteries where there are other Belleville servicemen who were killed in action in Bloomfield, in Montclair, in East Hanover, in Kearney, North Arlington. We hit about 10 cemeteries, and we also set, last year we set 8 wreaths at the graves of 8 Medal of Honor recipients in our area. So we covered about 6 counties last year. We set about 200 wreaths.
9/11 too.
Yeah, we were very fortunate last year. We got a lot of support. And so this year is a special year because it's the 100th anniversary of the return of the Belleville servicemen from France. And sadly, two of the men, Michael Flynn and Edward Crowell, returned in caskets. And this is a photograph from the funeral procession on Washington Avenue. And in this photo, they're passing Town Hall. Okay,
Town Hall is,
Town Hall's behind a tree. This is the bank across the street. So, you know, I'll bring this up to you, Mayor.
oh, so they're coming up?
They're headed towards St. Peter's.
I got you, coming up Belleville Avenue.
Yeah, they were best friends. They enlisted together. They both,
Here, that's the bank they're going.
they were both decorated combat veterans. They survived the war, but unfortunately they were killed in accidents while they were waiting to be shipped home. So they're buried side by side. I mean, they were best friends. They fought together, they died together, and they're buried side by side at St. Peter's. So we'll be doing special tribute to them.
And that is Saturday?
Saturday at noon at
Starting
St. Peter's.
Saturday noon, St. Peter's.
Yeah, and we also were able to get a hold of this medal. When the troops returned to Belleville in 1919, Mayor Waters and the Belleville Council awarded them these medals. And this is one of the original medals. The front of the medal says Belleville, New Jersey, and the back says, presented by the people of Belleville in grateful recognition of service in the Great War, in the World War. Because that was supposed to be the end of
The
war.
last one,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
A lot of people don't realize the statue in front of Town Hall is the World War I monument with the names of the 21 men from Belleville killed in action. And that is an really unappreciated, recognized piece of art because the sculpture is really quite a piece of art. So thank you for your time, Mayor and
Thank you
Council,
very
and
much.
hope to see you if possible
Yeah.
Saturday.
Mike, before you go, one question. We were doing the street namings for the veterans,
Right.
you know, for the last however many
Yeah,
years. I think, there's still some that are approved and the signs are, I think, at DPW,
I'm
that we're
not
just waiting for?
I'm not sure of all of them. I know that the Fred Stockham sign, we were going to set it up last year when the Stockham Monument was dedicated, but there was just too much activity there. We didn't want to drag everyone from the corner to the cemetery. So, you know, we asked that the DPW put that sign up. We wanted to unveil the Stockham street sign, which was approved last year.
Right.
We'd like to do that like 15 minutes before we go to proceed to the cemetery.
This Saturday? Has that request been, oh,
Well, I mean, that,
Or is this the, this is
No.
is this the request? I'm confused. We're doing it 15 minutes before, but does
Yeah.
anybody know we're doing it 15 minutes before?
well, we have the
Really got
sign.
that?
We've got the sign somewhere. As I said, we were going to set it last year, but there was just too much activity.
On,
And
what's that, on Dowd Street?
William Dow, right outside the
William
cemetery.
Dow?
So that's gonna be this Saturday.
Yeah.
Michael, I would like to say you do a marvelous job all the time. You keep us all abreast of what's going on.
You know, there's just a lot of history here.
Yes,
you know.
you're marvelous.
More-
That's all I could say.
More than anywhere else in the country other than New York City and Philadelphia.
You know everything.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Your sign's in the back.
Back here.
And does anybody have a status on our attorney? I'm only asking for specifically, he's got an item on the agenda and I see people here for that.
His last text was 6:45.
6:45.
Okay. Because I do see some people here for that one item he's got on. Okay, so the next item is Mayor Melham. So discuss an ordinance of free parking beginning the day after Thanksgiving. So what we do normally is our town attorney doesn't really like us to just put things on the agenda and then vote. For those of you who are here listening to this, this is a, I didn't explain this earlier, this is the council work session, council caucus meeting. So here you're going to hear us discuss various topics and debate and discuss among ourselves. Unfortunately, there is no public participation during this section. You would have the right to speak later on in the meeting during public participation. So right now, you're going to, it sounds like we're just having conversation amongst ourselves, but this is the way that we have to do it. And so Steve has always said that we should always put things on the caucus work session to discuss before we ever take action on voting on something in the future. So I know that even in my first time here, almost 20 years ago, it's always an arbitrary thing when we get close to December. Either the town manager or the police chief says, okay, Monday or Tuesday, we're going to do no parking or free parking signs, and you start putting them up. So it's always an arbitrary thing. Either the town manager says it or the police chief recommends it. We did that, which seemed like it made sense, on Monday, December 2nd. And I had realized, obviously, that weekend before that Saturday is Small Business Saturday, so why don't we just historically do it on the day after Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving, and this way we get Small Business Saturday involved with no parking on the avenue in our parking lot. So rather than leave it up to somebody to remember on the last week in November, I think we could just amend the ordinance that says every single year, the day after or Thanksgiving, we don't write tickets on Thanksgiving for parking, right?
I would hope not.
No. So we could literally say, we could probably just amend the parking ordinance that says Thanksgiving through January 1st or 2nd, we do free parking. And this way we don't have to worry about somebody remembering or arbitrarily deciding.
And we need an end date, right? You have to start
Yeah.
saying you need an end
When
date.
do we end now, Chief?
January 1st,
2nd?
Second after the New Year.
Yeah. So
So
we'll
January
just,
2nd,
Yeah,
it's the
it's
first
New
year
Year's, yeah.
holiday.
so that's an easy one. We just tell Steve, the town attorney, to amend the parking ordinance, to just write that in. So now it's part of our law, doesn't matter.
Now, how does that work when we have those nice covers on all of the meters, right? On the second, on the first, which is a holiday, who's going to take more for the second?
I'm sure.
I'm
They
just,
just-
I'm
They got
sure.
some-
saying because you're off on the first, right? So just think about
So
that.
we end on the second.
At 8 a.m. on the morning
Right,
of the
they
second,
start-
they would
Chief
go.
will- The chief will send a reminder on his phone that January 2nd, 8 a.m. Order people to
Extra
remove the
early.
day. All right, Chief? Good, we're good. Thank you for that.
Not a bad
I just want, that's all I'm saying. You don't want them coming out on New Year's Day, don't you?
Yeah.
No,
Right.
that's,
Right.
We're not
Time
paying,
and
we're
a
not
half.
gonna pay overtime to remove
Exactly.
bags.
I feel I need to remind our mayor and council that the police department never closes and we are
Yeah.
open
24 hours.
on July 1st. So
That's
it's-
right.
Again, it's not a problem.
that's right.
All right.
We are not closed on
We
January.
should remind Councilman Graziano of that.
You're right. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief.
Speak to the council as a whole.
We are gonna skip item 2, which is the food truck. We had already work session this and caucus this, and we're here today to discuss some of the ideas that our town attorney had in looking at other municipalities, and he's already begun drafting things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for those of you who don't know, our town attorney is involved with a medical procedure, and he's running late. So, or else we would have taken this off the agenda if we knew he wasn't going to make it. We're told he's going to come in, so I'm going to hold that item back. I know that we have people here that might want to participate in that. And so we're going to hold that item back. We can always hit that item even if we continue the meeting and go forward with some of the other parts of the meeting. So the next, I don't have anything after food truck, but I am going to add in manually, add in the 2020, that's manager's office has been working with DPW and his staff on the 2020 garbage recycling schedule. It's our second crack at it.
Schedule calendar?
Calendar.
Yeah, calendar. We're going to get it right this time. And so that's going out. The manager, I received an email, council members, please confirm. The manager emailed you all a draft of the calendar. We are going back to the traditional calendar that our seniors liked, which was the 12-month view, which every single month is there. We're adding, I have a draft over here, I can pass it around. We're adding photos that are month-specific. So, for instance, November has pictures of our Veterans Day event. September has pictures of September 11th event. December has pictures of our tree lighting. So obviously the photos you see are all date specific. I'm going to spread these, pass these around. I believe the manager asked the council members, since we were literally drawing them off what our town photographer has given us on the website and some stuff we had on our phones. If you have, for instance, Councilwoman Burke,
Yes.
if you have a picture that you want to add in from just the party or something like that, just get that into us, because we don't have that many pictures in here yet, but you can look at that. And that has been emailed to everybody. That's just a draft. Councilman DePena's version here has dates that are council meetings that are going to be added in, planning board, zoning board, and any special events that we already know of. For instance, we know September 11th is September 11th. Might not necessarily know, we know that Veterans Day ceremony is Veterans Day. We know that Memorial Day is Memorial Day, but we might not know the date of our Christmas tree lighting. So we can't put everything in there, but we're going to try. Seniors really like it. A lot of people like to hang it and put things in there. And we can maybe leave one up front after the meeting so we want to look at it. Anthony, this one goes back in your office. It's got the dates on it. So if council members have any comments to it, please let the manager know by Thursday. This thing has to be finalized probably by Friday to be out to a printer by next week to hit homes for January 1st. You have something to say? Oh. So again, I know we're looking at it for the first time, but the photos you see there are all specific to events that happen. For instance, in March, you're looking at the Women's Empowerment Breakfast that we had. We're pretty light in January. We don't do any events in January. So you'll notice we have a Chinese New Year image there, because we are going to be celebrating Chinese New Year. There are 3 kings there. And I think we have one photo of a Martin Luther King flag raising maybe. So we're kind of light on January. If anybody has thoughts or suggestions. September, Councilwoman, if you have pictures of just the party, we'll definitely add them in. I was working with what I had, what the photographer for the town has given us for the website, and anything I had on my phone.
Just get it in quick.
Yeah. So everybody's aware of that. Anything else? Anything about the calendar?
No.
No? We're going to, it'll be a 12-month, as opposed to a 6-month. Correct. And I think it's going to be correct, too. I'm almost positive it's going to be correct. I've seen October's got our pumpkin patch. Italian Heritage, I think. September's probably got September 11th. It's got just the party. It's got some different things. Thoughts, suggestions? No? So we do have one other item, which is the discussion of the food trucks. If and when Steve gets here, I want to go back to that only because I did invite somebody that would participate in that conversation. And, right, we weren't able to cancel because we didn't know if he wasn't going to be here late. I know you live close by, so it's okay. Tommy, did you find that for her?
Yeah, no.
She has it in her email.
Yes, right, yeah, I found it.
So we're going to loop back to that one. So we're going to move on with item number, my Roman numerals are okay, 6. Mary, approval of minutes.
Combined conference and regular meeting of November 12, 2019.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made in second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Next item is the report of the manager. I'm just going to remind you, Mr. Manager, please speak clearly and loudly.
I will speak loudly and shortly.
Can't hear you.
My manager's report is certainly brief today. First, let me start off by saying that's our last meeting of the year. Happy holidays to everybody. Healthy New Year. See you back again in January. Departments have been extremely busy working on the 2020 budget. Obviously, that has become a priority, so we need to get that straight. We have mobilization started at the DPW facility, mobilization of equipment to start removing the soil, weather permitting. First day is tomorrow. So what we refer to as the infamous mounds and mounds of soil will hopefully be gone. It may be more than one phase because obviously there's quite an amount of tons. So that's our biggest concern. Budget, and I think that's basically it. So again, have a very happy holiday.
Okay, thank you. That was quick. Mine is not so quick. Next item we have is item number 8, report of the mayor. As I like to keep the same format, I'm just going to go backwards for 1 second. We had a very successful Christmas tree lighting. The second year that we called it Christmas tree lighting. It was at Belleville High School. We had to move it this year mostly because of the bad weather. So the Christmas tree was lit. We had great cooperation from all of our vendors. We had great cooperation from the Board of Education. They always assist us with one giving us the parking lot, giving us the stage. It was a nice event. Santa was there. The weather was a lot better than last year, and no issues there. Fire department, I thought, had a very successful Santa event. I've never seen that many people. If you know the firehouse on Franklin Avenue, kids were lined up past the townhouses. And then once you got inside the building, they winded through a maze waiting online. It was truly amazing. I don't know how you could speed it up next year. We can't add 2 Santas because there's only 1 Santa. I made that recommendation. You know I don't have kids because somebody said you can't have 2 Santas. So I'm always looking to be efficient though. But yeah, Chief, thank you. That's a fantastic service. I don't know where all the people came from, but they came. Great, your department does a great job. They do photos, they do desserts. Michael's Roscommon donates pizza. I think this year the most pizzas they ever did was 26, and those are cut in 16s. So there's an extra slice in there. They did 36 this year, and they probably could have used more. So it was a great event. I thank the fire department for providing that to the community. Current stuff, real quick. Anthony mentioned I sat in on 2 different budget meetings today. He's working that budget. We are going to get that budget to the state on time this year. Last year we missed the mark by about a week or 2, and then when you go in late, you're always the last one to get a summary. You're always on the bottom of the list. That kicks everything out much later. So I know we're going to get it in on time this year and be a little sooner with that. You will see a communication on today. We have secured $50,000 for filters. So as most of you know, Silver Lake is getting filters from the city of Newark. We've secured about $50,000, which we believe will buy us about 1,350 filters. We are going to prioritize that based upon, one, the age of your house, because if you don't have a lead service line, if you live in Route 10 Estates, well, you're not going to get one because you don't have a lead service line. Beyond that, we are still asking people to sign up and register at filtersforbelleville.org. From that list, we already have a list of about 900 people on that list. From that list, we've asked questions. Are you elderly? Are you sick? Are you infirmed? Do you have children on the age of 6? Are you a nursing or pregnant mother? And from that, we're going to prioritize. So if somebody like me is not going to get a filter in that first batch of 1,350 that we're looking to purchase. And again, we did secure that from Newark. It didn't cost Belleville a nickel. They are going to be I was adamant on this. I did not want the filters that screw into the top of your faucet. Most people, Councilman Burke is one of them, cannot install them in your house. If you have a newer fixture, you can't install it. So they go to waste. I didn't want them to go to waste. Plus, you could higher probability of running hot water through them, which would then burn it out. So therefore, we're getting pouring pitchers. I think it's a 12-cupper or 14-cupper maybe, and everybody can utilize that. You put the water in, put it in the refrigerator, you're done. So we have about 1,350 filters. Mr. Iacona went back and forth many times with the vendor, same exact vendor as the city of Newark. And there's a match there. They're giving us cartridges that go in there. It's a complicated formula, but at the end of the day, we do thank City of Newark. I spoke and met with Raz Baraka, the mayor, several times, and they were able to provide this funding to us. We are the only municipality that's getting that from Newark. Every other municipality did their own thing or is on their own. So we're very grateful for that. And we're also waiting on a grant too from Claramas, which would allow us to purchase a second round of filters. Again, zero cost to Belleville taxpayers. I mentioned the recycling calendar already. We work session that item. That's done. Next item, I just hit it already, reminding people to register at filtersforbelleville.org. Anthony, I did want to bring up to you an email that I had sent this week, just to keep your eye on the ball with our IT and email systemic issues. I received 6 emails from the town attorney yesterday that he sent last week. It's just unacceptable. We are even having Oprah issues where our clerk is responding to Oprahs and the receivers are not receiving them. Eventually this is going to be a problem. I have sent multiple emails. If you have received them, Anthony, we have no guarantees here that emails are ever received. But if you've received them, I've put it down in writing enough times, and now I'm saying it publicly. It's something we need to look into. We did have a meeting, myself, Councilman DePena, Councilman Graziano. We did meet with the Dutch Reformed Church, as we call it. They are a separate congregation. And one good thing that came out of that meeting is it was confirmed, you guys don't know this yet, that we do owe them 50, what did I say?
14 and change.
Councilman, Deputy Mayor Cosarelli and Councilman DePena. We actually do owe them $1,500.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they had been, they had some serious damage to a storm many, many years ago, might have been Sandy. They needed emergency work done on the steeple. The township fronted them about $45,000. They were paying it back $500 a month. They did pay it all back, and they paid too much. So the outcome of the meeting was we owe them $1,500. And so we're grateful for that, and we're grateful that we're beginning to build a deeper relationship with them with the hopes of being able to have more access and provide them more help to the cemetery and even the church building themselves if we ever get that opportunity. You'll notice outside and at, I believe, the firehouse in Silver Lake and somewhere else, the senior center maybe?
Rec center.
Rec center. Do we have a rec center? Would that be the rec
Rec
house?
house.
Or the
Rec
family
house.
Rec house. So 3 different locations town-wide where we have Santa's mailboxes. Please let everybody know, I just did a social media post, the town did a social media post. There are 3 Santa mailboxes. Children can write letters to Santa, which will be answered. And so just put that out there. Quick 2 senior updates. We did purchase a new bingo board for them, but we did not have the stand for them. Stage was bought and shipped, and we finally have possession of the bracket, what do we call it? Stand for that. So by next week, our seniors, both Tuesday and Friday club, will have a working bingo board on a stand. It's been bits and pieces so far. As most of you know, we did buy a new senior bus this year. Seniors loved it, but they had a complaint that it was a little high of a step. We ordered that step. I'm told that step is arriving and will be installed between Christmas and New Year. So for January 1st, our seniors will have easier access to get into their brand new bus. Next, we have no council meeting the 4th Tuesday in December, as it's Christmas Eve. The next one will be in January. I believe, I didn't see it here, but I believe there is a memorandum of understanding. We might work session this topic next meeting. Memorandum of understanding going back and forth with our township attorney and the city of Newark regarding the Newark Reservoir. It's been quiet. We haven't really been advertising what's been going on every step of the way, but we are in active talks. Those talks are not dying. I will not let them die. We are in active negotiations with Newark. Our town attorney is drafting a memorandum of understanding with the city of Newark's input. We will probably work session that topic. Mayor, can you make a note to just throw that on to the next one?
Sure.
And also, if you want to make a note to have the town attorney do the parking ordinance for the next meeting, I might forget that. So that that's ongoing. I did get an email today from the town manager. We do have a list of council members. If you're a ward council person, pay attention. We do have a list of streets that will be paved in early 2020. Those streets are Smith Street, Union Terrace, Center Street, Cottage Street, Home Street between Union and Cedar Hill Ave, Graylock Parkway between Union and Passaic, Fairview Place, Valley Street, Lake Street between Hannes and Geraldo, Ralph Street between Graylock and Little, Bellevue Court, Branch Brook Drive, Delavan Ave, Heckle Street between Hannes and Bloomfield, Jerome Ave, King Place, Little Street between Washington and Union, Newcomb Street, Passaic Avenue between Graylock to Nutley, and Springer Street. So those streets will be done in early 2020. And upcoming things, we have Thursday, Santa will be at the library. Santa spends a lot of time in Belleville. Santa will be at the library on Thursday. Library website has more information on that. We are, hopefully, you might hear this from some council people here, we are potentially planning or organizing a Three Kings Day for early January. Update, I've been in contact with Dr. Tomko with the school district. We've been talking a lot about pre-K. Our involvement in that has been fast-tracking, helping them find some space. I have had about 15 different meetings and tours with different places with Dr. Tomko trying to find space for pre-K. At this point, our only holdup with offering more pre-K to more students is literally space. So therefore, I've taken a lead on the township side. When we sit with developers, we're constantly asking them if they have space for the school district. I believe that Dr. Tomko has his sights set on one specific location. and it looks like that might work out. I guess more will come of that in the future. We have secured another round of $1 million in Green Acres money. That, in conjunction with the $1 million from Green Acres a year before, totals $2 million. We have a $5.5 million project up at the Municipal Stadium Complex next to our current turf field. We commonly call that the practice fields. Those practice fields will be redone. I believe the prior administration council bonded for that $3.5 million. We've just been waiting for the second round of the $1 million. So it's a $5.5 million project. Of that, $1 million is banked already in the grant. The second $1 million is now banked. $3.5 million is already set in place from our bond from the previous council. We're just waiting on that. So that project will start. We're talking to engineering companies now to get some plans for that, but that project's going to start probably in the spring. Then we'll have our second turf field. We have invited and talked to the school district about this, even though it's a municipal stadium complex, it's up at the high school. We want their input, we want their involvement, and likewise, they have invited us to a meeting, I think Thursday, about Claremont Field, because they're going to be turfing that, which is good. Other than that, I think I am done. Anthony, questions for you. The Essex County money, which now we've heard a presentation on that, so we definitely want to stay on that. Infrastructure Bank, I believe Steve, he's not here, told me that between him and the grant company would look at that, but that's free money, so I definitely want to look at that, Infrastructure Bank. And we are going to begin filter distribution probably in a week or so. I believe the order has been placed for filters, Anthony?
That's true,
Yeah, so order's placed, we're waiting on delivery, and then you're going to organize a distribution program for that. That's it. Mouthful from me, before the mayor is now complete. Next up, first meeting in a month, so we have some committee reports. As most of you may know, we don't really have standing committees. We have whatever a council person wants to be involved in, they jump into it and they present once a month on that. Does any deputy mayor go first?
Yeah, I got a few.
Just talk
Thanks.
that way.
Mayor, today the Green Team met with our grant writers, so we had three points that we wanted to hit. Sustainable grants, arts and culture grants, and historic preservation. So we had a good meeting, and I'll give you guys some updates when we hear back on any of those grants that we could get. Also, our Fun Run Committee met. We chose to do the first Saturday in April again for the Fun Run. So myself and Councilwoman DePena. I think it's going to be even bigger than last year, so I'm excited for that. And finally, as you touched on, the Three Kings event is planned for January 6th. And a little announcement, Sanitas has actually canceled their event to do it in conjunction with us, and they're going to supply all the toys for all the kids. So
Are they going to host it?
we're hosting it at the senior building.
Oh, so Sanitas has some great space.
Yeah, they wanted to do it at the senior building, they chose, so we said absolutely. There'll be a face painter, a magician, petting zoo, Three Kings giving out toys to the kids, lots of food. It'll be a big event.
One of the grants that you were talking about, I wasn't part of that meeting, but I've been in contact with the county. Every couple of years, the county opens up open space money.
Yeah.
That is now open. The maximum that Belleville can get is $150,000, and I know the deputy mayor met with Gabby on the green team today to then give the information to our grant writer. We're going for the whole 150 for that.
I'm done.
Anyone else? This one?
No, I was just, but I did want to mention something in regards to the Three Kings Day. In conversation with some residents, I know some people had certain questions in regards to what this means, and I just wanted to stress the importance of this holiday for the Latino community, because this is Christmas Day for us. You know, we don't do gifts on the December 25th. We always grow up doing our gifts on January 6th. Which happens to also be my birthday. So, but it's just very meaningful to us, and I just wanted to, thank everyone that took the initiative to make sure that that day is recognized, that there are no confusions from what was celebrated in the past, but just to understand that this is, it's just a worldwide holiday that we celebrate within the Latino community, and I'm excited that Belleville is bringing back that tradition. So, that's it.
Perfect. Councilwoman? No? Councilman?
Just from an IT,
Mike?
from an IT piece, we're talking about our Compass. I've been working with Kelly, and Kelly's doing a fine job. We are staying on track for February 1st to have that implemented, so I just wanted to share that with you. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you. And our IT issues, our email issues. Just keep that on your list of things to, I received an email from the town attorney 6 days after he sent it.
Yes.
We have a meeting.
Yeah.
So we had a meeting, when was that, Anthony, Tuesday? Monday?
Monday.
Monday. And we went over all the issues, concerns, and we're putting a plan.
And it's more than just, so I received the email, which isn't the first time, 6 days late. If you remember a few meetings ago, there was a gentleman here who swore the town attorney never emailed him anything.
So,
Our domain name is so blocked, it doesn't even go to spam sometimes. It
Well,
just doesn't arrive.
right, so it's bigger than that, right? So email's a piece, and you have to look at the core infrastructure, you have to look at the access, you have to look at the desktops, you have to look at that as a whole. We're not gonna piecemeal it. We're gonna come up with a solution from beginning to end in a phased approach, and then it'll be presented, and there's a cost case to everything, but we know what needs to be done first. I mean, because it has been not up to speed.
It's priority one.
It is.
Well, we're gonna do phases, but email would be.
That's priority one.
Right, that's priority number one. Email and security is number one.
Looking ahead, you're good, Councilman?
Yes.
Anybody else have anything? No. So we're going to move ahead to communications. I had mentioned earlier in my report that we were expecting something from Claremont. I see that here as a communication. So not only did we get $50,000 from Newark, which is going to allow us to buy 1,350 filters, we now have $20,000 from Claremont. So $70,000 total we were able to round up for filters. Next, communications, number A.
Communication received from the City of Newark stating the United Way is donating $50,000 for the Township Water Filters Campaign. B, letter received from Ariel Klein, Chief Executive Officer of Claremont Medical Center, stating Claremont is donating $20,000 for the state's Water Filters Campaign. And C, letter received from the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation stating the township has been selected to receive $721,841 from the DOT fiscal year 2020 municipal aid program for various streets.
Thank you. Anthony, do you know if that money is the list of streets I just read, or is that different?
That's the 220 money. That's correct.
Yeah. So the streets I just read, is that?
That is correct.
Gotcha. Okay, next item, we have ordinances for public hearing, second and final reading.
An ordinance deleting 12-12.17, paragraph 6, rent leveling board of the revised ordinances of the Township of Belleville, being the Building and Housing Establishment Code ordinance of said township.
Make a motion open for public hearing.
Second.
Motion made, second, open public hearing, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Strumelob?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
Make a motion to close public hearing, move for final adoption.
Second.
Motion made, second, to close public hearing and move for final adoption. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Strumelob?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
Make a motion open for public comments.
Second.
Motion made, second, to open for public comments. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Strumelob?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Frank Antoni?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This afternoon, I went on the internet, it's sad to hear that a woman was killed in Washington and Mill Street last night. We gotta do something about the speeding on Washington. I open my laundry every morning between 7 and 8. Going south is no problem because the traffic is heavy. Going north, believe me, it's a virtual speedway. I mean, they're flying, we can make a lot of money, chief, if you put some guys out there, you will nail them like crazy. I'm not talking about 35 to 40, I'm talking about 50, 60 miles, I mean, flying like crazy. The northbound lanes, like crazy, between 7 and 8 that I'm usually open. It's insane the way they go flying through there. And passing on the inside, you know, it's crazy. So we can make some money there if we post some people on there. In regards to the gentleman that's here from the ECIA, please,
We
stay.
had no gentleman from the ECIA here.
Well, he's talking about.
Bond counsel.
He's our bond counsel.
The bond counsel. Talking about taking care, addressing money from the ECIA.
Yes.
The big publicity that York got a $120,000 loan from the ECIA. What most people don't realize, they only got $95,000. $25,000 is that figure what they call it, it's called some kind of payoff they get. So the ECIA is making money like crazy. It's one of the most poorly run organizations. I brought up before the many problems they've had that I've addressed with the freeholders. They refuse to answer some of the corrupt things that I've addressed on there. But please stay away from there. Resolution number 8, the CDBG, grants and all that. I went to the meeting at night with Tom Harrison. They're going to do some more cleaner relining. But last year's money, we made a big deal. What streets have the water lines been cleaned and relined?
I do not have that answer.
Well, that was last year, you said we were doing it with that money. So, and the other thing you made mention, I don't know if you're talking about the new money this year, one of the streets you mentioned, one of the streets you said Home Street between Union Avenue and Cedar Hill.
Yes.
Right there, they did the sidewalks and curbs there. So that was from last year's money. They finally got there. I hope you don't pave it to the spring. But before you pave it, I don't know if you're aware, there's 2 major water lines. I don't know if they're 24 or 30-inch water lines, go from the reservoir all the way down Home Street to Kearney and North Arlington. Have you contacted the Kearney department? Because they were up on the corner of New and Home Street a few months ago. You'll see the big patch. They did some repairs. So before you pave it, have you contacted them to see if they haven't do any work? We did it years ago when I inherited, they were already in the process of paving Home Street from Washington Avenue down to Portland. When I found out it was the Kearney, I stopped the project. We contacted Kearney, and the street was closed for about 4 months because they replaced the whole water line before we paved it. So before we pave it, and then let Kearney know that what we're doing. They get in and fix their water line before we have a problem there. The other item I got here, I hope you get the budget in on time. It was not a week late, Mr. Mayor. I think we went into June before we introduced the budget. And
Our submission to the, right. And introducing is different than submitting to the state. We submitted a week late to the state.
Well, you don't have to submit it to the state to introduce it. You can introduce a budget, then after you introduce it, then you send it to the state and all that. But the introduction, I know, it was always February 20th. The last couple of years, they've extended it a month. I don't know what they did this year or are going to do this year. But get it ready to go by February 20th. All you got to do is tell your department heads.
It's in the works.
Yeah. It's got to be in, it should be in December 31st. You want all departments, put your budget in, put your plan in. And the filters, and the water lines, the lead lines. I bought a building, I had a problem. I paid for it my own. I hope that the taxpayers are going to pay to replace these individual lines. People got, if you buy a house, it's one of the problems. You got to buy a house, you got to fix it and all that.
I think these are our bucks, Mr. Van
All right, that's the speeding thing, but I hope you take care of that cheap and all that. All right, thank you and have a good holiday.
Thank you.
I just, for our friends that are in the back, I just got a text. It's our town attorney's 2 hours away in traffic from New York City.
Guess he's not back.
So we're gonna, it'll be, Mayor, for the first meeting in January, which would be a work session meeting. We could just put this item back on, please?
Sure.
So when is that, 14th?
It will be the 14th.
January 14th. Apollo, we didn't know, I would have told you. A month away. So it'll be back on the agenda for
You'll
that.
see me at the January 6th event.
Okay. Oh, right. Sorry about that. Okay, we're still in public participation. Mary?
Yes, Mr. Scarpelli, 5 Taylor Street. I just have a question to ask you. I've been meaning to ask this question for quite some time. Resolution number 5. I noticed that the meetings are always at 6 o'clock. If you recall, when you were in office 20 years ago, I mean, the meetings were always 7 o'clock. How did they change to 6 o'clock?
It just, as you know, Mario, it's just up to the council, really.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying, but wouldn't it be better, have it at 7 o'clock? Could maybe, let me just finish, and you could talk all you want. I'm just saying, I always felt it was better at 7 o'clock because, a lot of people work in New York City by the time they get home at 7 o'clock and they can't make these meetings. So it's only a thought on my part. I was always wondering how and when it eventually changed, which I don't remember when it went to 6 o'clock. But I always felt that it was better and convenient for people to come if they wanted to attend to a meeting. And I noticed, I did look at other towns like Montclair and that, they do have like 7 o'clock meetings, so I was just wondering how it was.
There's also towns that have 12 noon meetings, too.
Yeah. But I was just wondering how it came. It's probably after your time and my time. I don't know.
When I was in the council, we had work sessions an hour earlier than the regular meetings. We also didn't live stream the meetings either, though, so now we
Yeah,
live
well, I mean,
stream
it's
the
different times too, 20 years, it's a big difference. I just have something I want to bring up to you, and it's just my thought. I noticed in the newspaper that the Essex County Sheriff's Department is looking to get rid of the canines, and it's very valuable, they're valuable service for the community. And I was just hoping that at the end of this meeting, the governing body can just send a resolution down asking them to reconsider keeping it, because you're only talking about $25,000 according to the newspaper article. And what I found interesting is the canines helped track down narcotic fire. An 85-year-old woman went missing in her Belleville home in October and was found because of the dog. So I would hope you could at least just a resolution coming from the governing body asking them to please reconsider, because otherwise the next town that's going to have the canines is Morris County. And according to this article, in today's article, the Morris County is some distance away. I mean, it's a shame to get rid of the dogs. I mean, it's only a small dollar amount because Marie's part of the Kiwanis Club, and when Belleville had the canines up to a few years ago, Mark, you remember we had the fundraisers at the beach, and we bought all the equipment for the dogs. We paid for the insurance for years, and we used to have the key clubs raise money and donate it every year, and the key clubs also used to buy food for the dogs, and all that went to the wayside now. But the canines are important, so I would just hope you would consider it.
Chief, do you know anything about that? I read that they were going to try
It's
and...
a personal matter to the sheriff and his...
And I don't think the number's 25,000, it's a lot more than that.
And I think it's done already. Our TBA is against it, but
It's a done deal, I mean, as far as I know.
It's done already.
I thought they already started doing it.
They announced it that it's January 1st.
Yeah, I saw something
Well,
announced it.
can we still do that resolution, Mayor? I
Your
mean,
business?
Just one thing,
because
Mayor.
it's really a shame, because I don't know what's gonna happen to those dogs.
They have an
No,
online.
that's not true.
That is not true.
Just one thing, they have an online petition going, and I think as of today, they have 7,000 people
It's not
supporting
accurate,
it.
though. It's not accurate.
That's what they say in the paper. I'm only reading the paper.
Don't believe what you read in the paper.
Yeah,
Not euthanizing
Fake
the
news.
dog.
All right, I'm done.
No, that's what I was going to say. I hope you too send a resolution down, because those dogs are very, very important to helping the police. And what I read is that they do want to euthanize them, it's been all over.
That's not true.
Did I see a hand up over here? No. Bill? No?
Merry Christmas.
Good evening, Michael Sheldon, 47 Floyd Street. Just a few quick questions, hopefully, tonight. In regard to the water filters, you said that residents will be getting pouring pitchers rather than the attachable things for faucets. Beyond the initial deployment of the pouring filters, are you also going to provide periodic replacements of the filters, or will residents be on their own to
They're
get
going
those?
to have a 6-month supply of replacement cartridges.
So the town hall will be providing?
It's all part of the
All
package.
right, great, I'm glad to hear that. It was announced earlier that you're planning to repave quite a number of streets next year. One of the streets, one of the sections was indicated as Holmes, between Home Street from Union to Cedar. That's the segment of Home Street that runs north of Claremont Field, if I remember correctly. Might want to hold off a little while for that because of the Claremont Field project. One of the things we're hoping to do, and we'll see the Boswell plans Thursday morning, is to put a bathroom facility on the north end of the field where the grandstand, the bleachers are. So that's going to require excavation. You're going to have to put sewer lines, water lines, et cetera, into that section of Home Street. So we'll discuss this. Mr. Iacono
And can you
and
make note of that?
we'll be at the meeting Thursday morning, but I'll bring this up just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Let's see. Resolution number 10, perhaps this is the streets that were already identified, but I was just wanted some clarification. It says resolution dedicating certain streets in the township of Belleville. Are those the streets that are about to be paved next year?
I don't believe that's it.
If not, what are those streets? What are they being dedicated? What is the purpose?
Named after Lake Street and Emmett Street.
Is that the better of the, or,
Lake Street shall be dedicated as Angelo Rizzoli Way, and Emmett Street shall be dedicated as Mary Senatori Way.
Mary V's,
All right.
Mary V's.
okay, thank you. It was mentioned at the last meeting and tonight that you're on track to roll out your version of Board Docs, iCompass, in February. When that happens, are you going to not only have the council use it, but also the planning board and the zoning board?
I believe so.
You're going to encourage every
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
starting out with the planning, with the council and the planning.
All right, the planning, and then
Yeah, and
hopefully...
there's growth in it too,
All right.
yes.
All right, so you have the license will cover...
Yes, there's no widgets actually, you have to purchase it, we're covered.
Right. And with other groups using it, are you going to provide notebooks or laptops to board members, council members who may not have, or is everyone on their own? If they want to use iCompass or Board Docs, will each board member, each council member be obligated to provide their own notebook, or how is that going to happen?
I don't think there's notebooks.
No, it's not included,
It's not
it's not included in the
included.
package, like myself,
Right.
I use my iPad like I did on the Board of
Right,
Education.
right.
You can use a phone too.
I use phone too.
Well, but the Board of Ed, Mr. Graziano and I both declined the notebook that the Board of Ed provides to trustees, but I didn't know what contingencies you had, if you were going to provide all council members and zoning and planning board members with notebooks if you move completely over to this digital platform. The last thing I wanted to mention, it troubles me to learn that you're having a lot of email issues. And there was some indication that the township's domain may be blacklisted. Is that the case, that somehow Spam House and things like that have now
That's not new. I've known of this for many, many years.
All right. Well, there are, if the township's domain is blacklisted, there are ways to go to internet service providers, to go to Icon and things like that, to get that blacklisting removed. So it's something your IT...
It has been worked on, but it's clearly not working.
All right.
We've had multiple people now don't even get spammed. It just doesn't appear. Doesn't appear.
When you send email, do you use, I don't know what client you're using for email, but do you request delivery and read receipts, so at least you have some assurance that the intended party has at least gotten your email? Things like Outlook, for example, that's a routine feature to add.
It's an option. The person on the receiving end also has the option to not let the person know.
Right, yeah, that's always the pitfall, right. You can, the recipient can elect not to indicate that it's either been delivered or received, but people that you're accustomed to doing business with, to have that extra level of assurance that your email is being received and not being caught in the twilight zone for several days. It's just something you might want to discuss here to make it a default situation that all of your email has delivery and read receipts attached to it.
It might not be an option on Outlook 2000 that we're using, 19 years old.
You're using Outlook 2000.
I believe some are Outlook 2000.
Oh my God. All right, that would explain a lot of things.
It does.
All right, wow.
I do need to wrap up though,
All right,
sorry.
I know you've discussed all these technology upgrades. Are you also going to modernize from Microsoft 2000
Yes.
to 365?
Yes.
Part of the upgrades.
And we're going to stand
That's going to happen next year as well?
It's got to happen next year.
All right. All right, I hope it happens for everyone's sake. Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none? Motion?
Motion to close public comment.
Second.
Motion made and second to close public commenting. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
motion for approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made in second to approve the consent agenda. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
New business? Okay, seeing none. Motion to adjourn. Motion made, second, clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Strumelberg? Mayor Melham?
Yes. Motion to adjourn.